Korea was an extremely poor nation in the 60s, with a per capita income of $100. Reverend Moon started an enlightenment program in rural areas together with witnessing efforts of his followers. This eventually led the nation to begin the New Community Movement. After the liberation, the Korean peninsula was dominated by the ideological battle of left and right. Untouched by the warm breeze of détente, the relationship of North and South Korea is still ice cold. In 1968, Reverend Moon created the International Federation for Victory Over Communism. The International Federation's goal was to research, criticize, and overcome communist theory and system, and realize the true ideal of mutual living, prosperity, and righteousness. In 1975, as communism expanded rapidly after the defeat of Vietnam War, blue-eyed foreigners shouting in the streets to save the nation could be seen all over the country. These foreigners were the members of the Unification Church who came from all over the world to participate in the movement. This movement against communism reached its peak in 1975, when 1 million people gathered at the Save the Nation rally held in Yeouido.
하나님이 있다 하는 세계는 하나님 편이요, 하나님이 없다 하고 하는 세계는 사탄과 악마의 세계입니다. 이 두 세계가 부딪힐 때 그 결과는 하나님의 전망을 결정하는 것입니다. 그러므로 공산주의를 쓰러뜨리는 이 싸움은 곧 하나님이 싸움이 되는 것입니다.
In the winter of 1971, Reverend Moon left for America. The eccentric pastor from the East began spreading the message of heaven while touring around the nation. After a while, Reverend Moon became an icon for the spiritual revolution of the American society.
May I present the Reverend Sun Myung Moon. 최근 미국이 국제신앙한 땅에 떨어지고 의역은 죄악의 도상이요 악마의 것으로 화해가고 있습니다. 대구 전역의 이와 같이 사탄이 부인이 될 때 하나님은 외면하실 수밖에 없고 급기야 미국을 떠나실 수밖에 없게 될 것입니다. 지금이 바로 그런 때인 것을 똑똑히 알아야 합니다.
Leaders were the first to listen. Rekindling the founding spirit of America, Reverend Moon attracted more attention after he was invited to speak at the House of Representatives. $300,000 people gathered at the Washington Monument Assembly.
무엇보다도 무신론에 입각한 공산주의의 위협은 가장 심각하며 이 시간에도 도처에서 침식에 들어오고 있습니다. 이것은 단지 미국만의 문제가 아니고 하나님에게 있어 그리고 모든 종교인과 온 자유세계인들에게 있어 심각하고도 절박한 문제입니다. 하나님께서 200년간 준비하신 미국은 크게 각성하고 하나님께서 분부하신 정차대한 세계적 사명을 다하여야 할 것입니다.
Various young people of transcending religious sects gathered. Americans were now excited about the teachings of Reverend Moon.
Reverend Moon and Mrs. Moon, who were at the forefront of the fight against communism, met Gorbachev in 1990 to press him for reformation, then visited North Korea's Pyongyang the next year. Lenin's status was brought down and Reverend Moon came face to face with Kim Il-sung, Reverend Moon put his life on the line with his speech of criticism towards the Juche ideology by emphasizing the will of God in North Korea's Congress building. Bodyguards ready to draw their guns stood there watching Reverend Moon. Something could go very wrong. Mrs. Moon, who was together with her husband, began to sweat in fear. The path of Sugong movement was a dangerous course filled with deadly threats, but it was only faith that could help them. However, Il-sung Kim, moved by Reverend Moon's audacious speech, said that a real reverend has come, and he threw a big feast for them. Everyone was surprised at the turn of events. This meeting, where the head of Sungong movement and the last head of communism hugged and swore to be brothers, opened the gate of peaceful unification for Korea. Year 2000, Reverend and Mrs. Moon accelerated their march on the course to substantiate the establishment of Cheon-il-guk, God's heavenly kingdom on earth. For this, they toured 120 nations in 2005 after founding the Universal Peace Federation. Then in next year toured 180 nations for the world tour for the restoration of the homeland with their children and grandchildren.
September 2012 was a hot month.
그 일을 다 이뤘다.
True Father passed away when he was 93 years old. He had a parental heart and a servant's body. He shed sweat for the earth. He shed tears for humanity. He shed blood for heaven. His life exemplified devotion and love. Father's hyojong towards heaven left a great example to follow. Enacted for future generations, the Sunhak Peace Prize. In 2015, the first laureates were selected as global community heroes for peace, for taking the lead in handling climate change and in solving food problems through aquaculture development. The Sunhak Peace Prize communes with messages from the future and aims toward creating a new peace civilization